Greetings, my name's Philip Daniel Miles. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for being here. You are a vibrational frequency being within this experience, and I'm grateful for you being here, witnessing your own content, seeing how it feels to experience yourself within this world. Because we've got so many opportunities for us to make the most of the energies available to us. And this is a fixed air full moon. So we can look at perceptions. It's about intellectualization. It's our genius. When we're looking at how we can let go of things that we find keep us stuck, keep us stagnant. We all hear about water that gets stagnant and it goes all putrid. You don't want to disturb it because all of the muck comes up to the surface, right? That, but you don't know about it on the surface level until it's disturbed. Well, the same for each of our elements. You know, it all has this disturbance to it and it can all change and alter the situation. And the modality that least likes to be altered will be something that looks to sustain and something that brings stability. And the fixed signs are the middle of the seasons. And so we're within a Leo lunar cycle, which is a fixed energy. And yet this Leo lunar cycle, it was actually initiated at 16 degrees of Leo. And it was a square back to Uranus at 14 degrees of Taurus. And Uranus rules Aquarius, where our full moon is. Not only is this the case, but the last full moon was in Aquarius as well. And so we had a disturbance, things which were majestically revealed to us by happenstance and circumstance kind of shattered a few paradigms with regards to the status quo of what was going on for us in our personal experiences as well as within the wide world. And so what we're seeing is that we're learning about how our perception can be regulated in a more beneficial way. Our embodiment of our intellectualization and our etiquette can be embodied in a way which serves us and others a lot more. And so what we're learning about is often about technological advancements, our groups, our spheres of influence, our manner of interconnectivity with one another, how we bridge our gaps and connect with each other within our spheres of influence, within networks like these, between you and I, between each other, between the bridges that we congregate and we connect with. And with regards to Aquarius, we'll also be looking at the kind of things which are our genius. A flash of awareness just comes out of nowhere, as that's what Aquarius is. It's like this intellectual, I've got to do it, I'm compelled. Remember, Aquarius is opposite Leo, and so it's about our creativity. Leo's about the sunshine, it's the star, whereas Aquarius takes a back foot. It's like a backseat, it's like a backdrop. It's what makes the stars shine. It shines them up real nice. It's like does all the makeup, puts all of the cosmetics on, does the lighting, what doesn't Aquarius do to make the stars look bright? You could even suggest that Aquarius is the night sky itself, the backdrop. Without the hands and all of the feet and all of the different things that make the stars shine backstage, there wouldn't be any stars. And so what we're considering is that actually there's something else that goes on with regards to what makes us shine. And I love this analogy when we think about an idea, when we get a snapshot of an idea that comes to us just like, as I said, like a flash, like a genius flash. You've got an invention. It doesn't just come trickling around slowly. It just kind of comes like this in the shower and the most inappropriate places, like where's a pen? Where's a pen? Sometimes a pen's just not going to do it justice. You've got to hold that vision, right? And yet that's a really beneficial way of considering how we can actually manifest something. If you act on something on an inspirational flash, then you really can develop the resolution of your inspiration. That's really Aquarius at its best. However, we also can see that if Aquarius is kind of beyond the boundary of time, if it's like channeling information from outside the box in, so that we can do something with it, like how they invented the cars or the steam train or the iPhone or whatever they might have invented. It all came through like a flash, and then they had to do the hard work. They had to actually bring it through the birth canal. They had to bring it into the gestation. All of these different things you have to do to actually bring something in as a master builder. The people who designed these, they just came like a flash. But there was a lot of thought and energy and hard work that had to go into making them a worldwide phenomenon. And so what we learn about is that this is how geniuses manifest. This is how we learn to trust our inkling, our intuition, our inspiration. But also we can recognize that this futuristic thing is often expectations. You might have an expectation about a certain something. Seeing a scallywag like me talking to you about astrology, you might have an expectation. I mean, it's a bit peculiar, isn't it? It's the occult. He's wearing a hat. He is talking in the third person. We don't like none of that. And he's now telling jokes. This is a serious matter. It's a very serious matter indeed. Well, this is what we're learning about, hey, is our expectations, because actually our expectations are due to assumptions, and our assumptions, well, they make an ass out of you and I, because it's actually often our projections of our own tales, and we'll pay the price for that. We'll get the change in our back pocket when we actually find that we're projecting and making assumptions due to our expectations. And so what we have had the opportunity to do is develop a greater picture of awareness for ourselves and for each other. Ooh, for greater compassion, even though there's those are divisions in the world, even though there's those are separating factors in this whirling dervish of different ideas, whether they're nationalities, class, genders. Yeah, everyone's got a different agenda as well as different genders. And so there's all kinds of different things, as well as the newest things, since they brought those new divisions in the past few years, which are very divisive indeed. And so what we're learning about is the compassion. Since we had Jupiter go into Pisces, we had a great amount of abundance and compassion for ourselves and one another. Even though there's loads of separated scenarios, it's all being spliced up, we can find even within our family we've been cut up and divided, but yet we can still come together, and we can find there's so many similarities. In fact, they're vast. There's vastly more similarities. And yet we still got expectations with regards to our further boundaries, our farther extended boundaries. It's not just under one roof where we find these things playing out, which we can find even then. It's just a bit like picking up the entrails. It's a bit like having to cross the room and there's these divides. Well, this is easy to climb over. I can see that yet there's very big, heavy suppression, governmental pressure, media suppression, all these types of things going on in the world, which could drag one apart from one another. But yet you still manage to find many, many things to laugh about, many things to connect over. There's still cup of teas to be made. There's still lunches to be had. There's still breakfast and brunches to be enjoyed between one another. And so we can always find that there's this common ground. We are the common people, after all. Some may call us peasants. I don't know about you. I can't speak for that. But really, are we the empowered 99%, or are we the 1%? I can't speak for everybody, but basically we can empower ourselves definitely to this opportunity for us to dissolve our expectations with regards to looking at other nationalities and thinking or perceiving them to be a certain way. For argument's sake, we might think that some people are more privileged than others, and they may be privileged in some areas, but there is a different landscape to all kinds of different things. Where there's highs, there are lows. And so those that may be privileged, maybe financially, may not be so rich in other areas of their experience. There may be a rich etiquette, a very warm kind of situation which is beyond the financial class that one can obtain while still not having plenty of wonga cash in the bank, and so there's all of these different divots and rivets with regards to the playing field of this experiential place that we call Earth. And we're here just earthing all of our different expectations, earthing all of our emotional scenarios, earthing all these divisions to find where we can marinate into more love, more connectivity for ourselves and each other. And this is really out of the box, but you've got to kind of get out to get back in. We don't necessarily want to be ascending and leaving the body. The body is the greatest kit. The body is sound as a pound. The body is the most valuable thing which any star being can have, or any human being. We are human beings. Anybody can possibly have is this contraption. So what we want to do is learn to take care of it. We don't want to rely on some kind of external mummy or daddy, whether it's a governmental system or the perfect lover which we project onto, or whether it's some other. What we would love to do is to be all sovereign, right? All sovereign, yet we all know that maybe it takes a little bit of self-organization. I mean, we can't do everything. But within our sovereignty, we can actually empower ourselves to very many degrees and self-organize ourselves within our communities. And so this is really not a dead-end road at all. This is our greatest opportunity. The pressure is crystallizing our consciousness. Can you feel it? I mean, can you feel it within you? Because it's actually your inner contents which we've been learning to trust, our sound, vibrations. And if they don't feel sound, if they feel like they're contorted, if they feel like they're squeezed, if they feel like they're not wanted, then this is something for us to address. Not to run and slam the door on and put on some Netflix and escape from. Something for us to be present with, for us to feel into this disorder, into this interference, into this vibrational, well, it doesn't feel very resonant, but yet it's present. It's there. If I'm here, I can feel it. And so what we've got the opportunity to do is to dissolve these things, to love ourselves and our counterparts to each other, which are playing out within counter space with our relationships. Could be a relationship to our hydration. Could be a relationship to learning our tarot deck. Might be a relationship to building a website and fixing it up real nice. It could be just dressing ourselves. It could be dressing our children. And maybe it's dressing our parents because they need the help too. Maybe it's actually learning about our bodies and it needs different food in different parts of the seasons. We can actually address that we can find. The medicine is not just in nature, but it's in the wheel of astrological research. The foundation of truth is all available to us within the zoo of archetypes, which is our astrology wheel. And so our self-organization means that we can pull away from the likes of governments, but not everybody's going to want to. Not everybody will want to. Not the 84 people watching this live presentation right now. Not the 84% of the world. Because what we're going to have to find to do is that there's those who've got this inspiration, this inspirational zeal, this courageous kind of I'll get up and go and do it. I'll show them because I want to do it for me. I'm going to make an example of myself right now before you. And in doing so, I will privilegedly give myself exactly what I need. And that is being the Hermeticist. We're moving towards what will be a Virgo season in a not too distant future now. We've already had Venus go flying through it. Mars is there with Mercury at the moment. They're travelling together, making a harmonic trine to Uranus, as our speakers say. They're making a harmonic trine to Uranus right now. And so what we can do is see that we're able to peel away, to go an alternative way. And this means communicating in a manner which brings us joy, in a way which gives us a direct line to the connection of who we truly are. And that's actually channeling the divine, channeling the source from within us, channeling our inner contentment, being within our own enthusiasm. By gosh, you don't need a permission slip from me. We can just all do it for ourselves and self-orientate. We can gaze across at one another, not up, not down, just straight across, because we're all equals here. And as we find that quality or equality, we recognize that these are bridges built within a web, within a network. And this is the Aquarian way. We're letting go of expectations. Just because I see someone wearing a silly hat, just because I see someone speaking just like that, just because I see the curly whirly hair like I've got under the hat, doesn't mean that we have these expectations. When we always do. But what we can do is find that I catch myself here, and I learn to respond rather than to react on prior expectations. We can learn to hold an open space. We're learning together to hold open spaces because we find actually that not one box fits all. And there is so much for us to recognize that is abnormal, strange, and peculiar. And that's really recognizing ourselves, because we're all strange, we're all abnormal, and we're all peculiar. In fact, that's our greatest quality. And if we can find the opportunity to go our own way, not feel depleted because we're not going to a certain cookie cutter standard, but we're making our own standards and we're setting our own scene, we're holding a space for our own value. Well, that's quintessential. That's the Uranian way. Uranus in Aquarius is the alternative. It is the new, and what's new is always old. It's just going back to our origins, and our origins is the earth, is our ability to take care of our body, to be present, to come into the sound vibration frequency, to come into the articulation of having our own voice, to come into the opportunity to find that we can go against the grain and still find that that is actually going to be much more profitable than any old traditions that aren't serving anybody anymore. So this is a very exciting time. We're recognizing that Pluto, which is just finishing up its transit through Capricorn in this next 18 months or so, which means that the transit, which started back in 2008 of traditions, is hanging on like a thread. And if I just mention some other things which I think are very important for us to recognize before I go into the chart, and that will be that actually these traditions like banking, education systems, health organizations, oh yeah, those guys, and all of these different things, they're being preset. There are some new traditions which are coming in, and they're going to be like a new normal. Normal means squared. If you actually took the Latin of norm, it means the square, and Saturn is the square. Saturn rules the farthest boundary that we can set a regulation or tradition to be Capricorn and Aquarius. Saturn's retrograde in Aquarius. And so what we're looking at is the changing of what we can consider to be normal with regards to our social affairs and those things which we rely upon within society that give us support, structure, how we support ourselves and structure and organize ourselves within our societies, within our social spheres, within our networks. And so look, what we have the opportunity to do is to see that we are not shackled. We don't need to go into something which makes us feel less than. That's kind of like, Stockholm syndrome, gaslighting, all of these types of things that the government or media may do to make you feel that you have to go and apprehend yourself into a squeezed scenario which you might not choose, which might not necessarily be for the longevity of the best well-being which you can pursue. Then this is when we just excuse ourselves, obviously, and we self-organize ourselves. And this is when we choose ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we aren't for anybody else. We are for everybody, especially when you check out actually the combative nature between people. And if you listen and look beyond what people are saying, but what people are doing reveals so much more. Because if you find actually that people who are self-organizing and maybe disengaging from old established situations which traditionally would bring together a community, like a government, maybe, or like a media system, or like an education system, these people are generally non-combative. They're normally quite compassionate, generous. They hold the doors for everybody. They're opening up conversations. They're sharing eye contact. Their expectations have gone beyond the limitation of what we might assume to be an enemy, and we're recognizing that there's so many equals that are having these connections with each other beyond any boundaries that were once observed. You feel what's working, and you can actually govern a new basis on our connection. Sound and vibration, which is actually void of illusion, which is purely based on observation. And so our expectations can go out the window when we come into the opportunity to come into the Taurian expression. Yeah, because that's our sound vibration vocal box, which emits frequency beyond time. And so we can self-organize due to what feels appropriate. Because if it doesn't feel so appropriate, then it's a ding, 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 ding clue, whether it's good for our bodies, whether it's good in our guts. And it takes guts to feel, but it's a great compass. I mean, it's within us. It's not some external reference point beyond us. And so we can really find it's got some kind of truth within us. And that's really empowering. And so if we can find ways of connecting beyond these divisions, then truly we're coming together in a way which is beyond all these different separations. This goes for our national divides as well, which is so natural, there, but they're so outdated. Does it really say anything about you and who you are? I certainly am not a flag bearer for being British or United Kingdom. I feel like I scroll all day looking for those tabs on forms, but really, what do they inform me as? Because I'm a star, just like you. And it's about recognizing our ability to be within our creative joy right now. How can we support ourselves creatively? And how can we let go of things that hold us back? National divides, snarl ups with regards to old, unforeseen relationship dynamics, as well as dietary habits and the way that we speak to ourselves in our day-to-day scenarios. All of these types of projections are cast. Do you hear what I'm saying? Cast. They are like a spell we cast, or they're like a cast that holds us together. They're like a spell which we cast out, or they're like a cast that holds the rest of the play together. Because the stars, the starring roles, they're nothing without a great supporting cast that holds everything together. And so what is Aquarius if not the cast? And so we're looking at all the spells that we cast from the central space from within us, from the inner sun within us, from the genie in the bottle. How are you going to find that there's an opportunity to be very discerning with regards to our projections, with regards to our assumptions, with regards to our judgments? Venus just went back into Libra. And so we can recognize that we're coming into a renewed cycle of our projections, of our 180-degree oppositions, which is with everybody in every scenario. And so how can we honor ourselves with greater clarity, which is truly our nature? To be clear? Woo! That's void of illusions! That will be really brilliant. But yet what we are clearing, ever so, what we are the doctors of time. And so you and I, we're always working through the trauma which are held into our bodies, which we chose to be born into, the family line, the matriarchal line. Every lunar cycle, we're working through different traumas, different expectations, which we hold and we feel and we replay. But yet we don't have to ponder that replay every single day. Oh no, we can actually find there's an opportunity to reprint our own memories, because our body which holds these memories, they might replay again. It might be a continual labor of love. We might have to remind ourselves. We might have to come back every single day and say, hey, you're good enough. Just reminding you, like a miracle, just a reflection, just reminding you, just reflecting back love every single day. This is the practice which we play. And sometimes it gets caught up in the disarray. We get caught up in the drama. We forget these practices. We lose our course. We get distracted. But yet, when we come back to ourselves, we're more powerful, more potent, more loving than ever. And so this is our gift. This is our opportunity to recognize our genius and to come into our own empowerment. I'm going to be going through each of the 12 signs of the Zodiac. I mean, I didn't plan this rant. I don't have a script. I'm just running on what comes through. We'll be doing that. And we'll be pulling tarot cards for each of those 12 signs. But first, let's go into the chart and actually look at the current energies as we build towards this full moon, which takes place kind of Saturday, kind of Sunday. It just depends where you are. Thank you for your presence. You're deeply appreciated. I see you in the live chat. Kerry Bell, Just Less, and Jackie. Homeschool time. Now that's something which I advocate for. It's great to be homeschooling. This is one of the great things which we can self-organize, but yet we're new to it. A lot of us are new to it, but we've got the skill sets. It's not an impossibility. And so we can all find that there's better curriculum which we can add to our homeschooling systems, whether it's astrology, gardening, yoga, could be arts and crafts and music. Oh, yes, these are very exciting things. And when we think about the old mold, yes, I love your terminology there. The old mold, well, let's break the mold and let's cast out a whole new selection that we can put into our opportunity to reset this world, because we are the change which we've been waiting for. And if we're going to make a new education system, if we've already got the medicine wheel, it's right behind me, and all we need the opportunity to do is find some ground and garden and all come together, well, I'm sure we can do that. So thank you for your presence. I'm going to be putting up this chart on the screen. If you want a personal consultation, you can get hold of me by the usual means in the description box below. I will be taking your consultations. I'm fully booked to after the full moon, but we can organise for after that, which is the 22nd of August. That's not too long. It's only, well, that's when the full moon is. So we're moving towards a time that we can connect. All the information you need is in the description box below. In the consultations, I hold your space, I answer your questions, but first and foremost, I go through each and every planet and we raise the frequency, we raise the octaves and see actually your experiences of these placements and how they aspect one another. After that, we go through all of the transits in application to your own personal natal chart. All of these conversations are recorded and you do receive a record of the conversation for you to play back. This gives you, as I hear, some people play it back over and over again because they gain so much value for their studies, because I just share loads of information like what you're about to see. And that way you can pause it, listen, do a research on this, do a bit of research on that. Lots of value for you. And so you can invest. All the information that you need is in the description box below. I'm excited to connect with you. You can't catch up with every comment in the live chat, but you are appreciated. Do you know what? If you're watching this in the recording, you're equally appreciated. I'm grateful for you. Intending you having a fantastic day. Today is Martes, Mars's Day. The French, do you know what they call it? They call it Mardi. Mardi. And so Mars is actually in that conjunction with Mercury in Virgo. They're traveling together. Mercury's going to take over tomorrow. Woo! So actually they're both making aspect to Uranus. And as the fifth element lady, which is very Aquarius, what's her name? Mila Hulovic? Excuse me if I butchered the name, but she would say big bada boom. But really, that's one way to see Mars transit Uranus. Because when we see that all of the other energies give us the opportunity to leave our mark and find that we've got the multipass. Excuse my fifth element analogies, but it is very Aquarius. So here we go. This is the current sky as we move through our moments and we look at this lovely trine that we got from the moon. The moon is actually at 22 degrees of Sagittarius, and the sun back just about to get to 25 degrees of Leo. And so in a couple for the next 6 hours or so, we've got the lovely waxing of this trine from the moon to the sun. Let's just look at it. Oh, I love a bit of it. I actually saw the moon last night just as it was disappearing over the horizon here in the UK. That was about 11, maybe 10 PM, and it was a lovely first quarter moon right by its own south node at that point. But look at this moon, it's waxing towards this lovely perfect trine, which takes place in about 3 hours time from now. So you can make the most of this expansive inspirational energy that we've got going on in the sky right now. It's very nice, but the moon isn't done. Once it comes off the trine to the sun, very nice, this transit of the moon through Sagittarius, where the south node is, but it's Jupiter's sign. So the moon's actually applying to a sextile to Jupiter, which is at 27 degrees of Aquarius. And that is where the moon is headed for the full moon. The full moon is in a conjunction with Jupiter, but the full moon is at 29 degrees. And so we've got a few days. Watch how this goes. I'm just going to wax this up so we can see that lovely sextile to Jupiter that's going on as we move into the early hours of tomorrow, or it could be the late hours of today. Depends when you're watching this and where you are. And so there you go. I appreciate you, Kerry Bell, and also Sherry Bain. I'm grateful for you. And so there we keep moving, and we'll see that sun the moon makes ingress into Capricorn, and we have a grand Earth trine. And this is very nice. This is when we have our conjunction going on with Mercury and Mars. You see them traveling together at 12 degrees of Virgo. And yet this is when we have our station of Uranus. Uranus, 14 degrees of Taurus, just as Mercury and Mars are waxing in that trine. So they don't get to 14 degrees just yet. But as we move towards the Aquarius full moon, we have this grand earthy trine with the moon at 14 degrees, and it's when the moon gets to 14 degrees is when as this station's taking place. I mean, let's just look when it goes on. I mean, this station kind of goes on for hours, but as you see, it's always the moon which kind of triggers these things, and it's there at 12 degrees as it's triggered to the trine to Mercury and Mars. It's like, well, you know that there's going to be repercussions in some way, shape, or form, not just in our personal experiences, but you know, in the world scene. And so media is ruled by Virgo, also is medicine, and so is Mars ruling all kinds of things that just go straight in. Straight in. Mars is very direct. It's a martial, malefic kind of direct planet. And so what we're looking at is this kind of direct bolt of information that can be coming right at you. You might be able to identify with it, but you can create your own waves. Well, how do you want to be direct tomorrow as we move through these energies? You might be like, I'm creating headlines. You know, you might be like, I'm just going to be able to go running this day and I'm going to film myself doing it. All of these different things. But the point is that it's trining the moon in Capricorn. And so you can imagine it's going to be like some kind of media, some governments. I don't know what they might say, but it could be shocking with Uranus station retrograde at 14 degrees of Taurus, where it will retrograde back to 10 degrees of Taurus, which will be January the 8th, around January the 18th kind of time, which is the same time as the nodes will shift from Scorpio to Taurus. They'll be in Scorpio and Taurus rather than Sagittarius and Gemini. And so it's very interesting that Uranus will return back to this space by May 2022. Regardless, what we're seeing is a massive shake-up. I say keep your nose down on your business and see how you want to make the most of these energies. You might want to change things up in your day-to-day routines. You might want to change the environments, change your local scenarios, change your practices. But again, it's about letting go, cutting cords, and shifting the way that we have done things. Innovation is a good way to do things. The templates can be innovated. And so obviously how this is aspecting your chart is going to be very relevant. Also worthy of mentioning, if we go back 24 hours upon the ingress of the moon into Capricorn, it will make a lovely square to Venus. Again, that's like break free from an old perception, break free from old perception, which would set the scene. Because if we thought we can't, then we set that scene. But if you think you can, gosh, you can do it, sunshine. Go for it. Because you've told yourself you can, you probably can do it. If that means going to migrate to a different country, if that means building your own house, if that means starting your own business, if that means learning astrology, if that means going and, I don't know, becoming a seamstress or painter or a musician, if you think that you can do it, you can. And so go do it. This is the way I perceive these things, at least. And so that moon will keep on moving, it will be waxing. And on the 19th, which is Thursday, Jupiter's own day, we will have the moon still in the Capricorn. It's coming off of that trine to Uranus. So this is very interesting that we have this opposition from the Sun to Jupiter building all week long. And it will be that it goes exact upon the ingress of the moon into Aquarius, which was where the last full moon was, at 1 degree of Aquarius. And so we can see that it's kind of the moon at this stage. It might feel a little bit suppressed. We could feel a little bit depressed. We're carrying so much emotional energy. It's like carrying a big old heavy sponge. It's just leaking, but yet we're being stoic with it. So we're maybe not leaking everywhere, but you can feel the heaviness that we're carrying around. And yet Saturn is saying, hey, once the moon gets beyond Saturn, it can be all expanded upon, maybe, and we can release it in a way which is very creative, maybe even somewhat diplomatic. You could suggest it's actually futuristic manner. Maybe we're getting in the collective. Maybe it's about letting go of belief systems. Oh yeah, so many belief systems that hold us back from reaching our greatest potential. So many expectations and projections which we're letting go of. Look at this. At this point, we have Venus in this grand air trine to Rahu, the North Node, to Saturn and the moon, as well as sextiles from the moon and Saturn and Venus to Ketu, the south node of the moon, at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. And so that's a massive letting go. It's like, I'm not dealing with those structures after the thing that they did. with regards to the Uranus retrograde, I ain't having no more of that media. I'm turning the TV box off right now. You know, it might be actually we decide to. I'm not going to think of myself in that self-deprecating manner anymore because I've just achieved my greatest endeavor. And so we let go of old belief systems as we structure, formulate, as we master our relationship to this and to that, to each other and to ourselves, man. It's an omen for the types of things which we can change, because the belief systems are things that can hold us back. South Node in Sagittarius says, hey, let go of your belief systems, see what you can alter. But the buck stops with you and I. And so we have to have experiences that allow us to challenge those belief systems that we had held on to, which we can let go of with this full moon. And the Grand Air Trine is really beneficial for coming up with new information, new perspectives, new ways of communicating. Mercury has moved beyond Mars by this point, but Venus is opening us up to these new information, opening us up to releasing with the sextile to Ketu, the South Node. And so it's lovely, as you see. It will be a day later that the moon makes a square to Uranus. I was like, will this full moon come? Well, it's going to be a very slow build. Whenever you have the full moon at the end of a sign, it's a very slow build because the moon's full, moving through that zodiac sign for almost, it feels like 3 days. It's only just over 2 days, but it feels like 3 days often. But yet also, this is Aquarius. It goes like a flash. So who am I to say? Who am I to say what your experience of time is like? Because beyond the boundaries of time is this Aquarian experience. And so this weekend can be that kind of timeless endeavor that just really gives you this quantum leap as you feel what you're letting go of, as you feel how far you've already advanced, and give yourself that recognition and now the emotional debris to fall away. Woo! The alleviation, you know, the heaviness which can be felt, trudged up and cut free from. It is our feelings that cut us free. Saturn, you know, Saturn, it's right by the moon. You can see it right here on the screen. It carries, got the cross, and it's got a wiggly line. The wiggly line is the time wave. It's through time that we have the opportunity to see that it is our emotions, the lunar cycle, the sickle. We cut ourselves free from all of our old stories that we play out through time. Thank goodness for the third dimension, which allows us to embody the feelings, and it is through the feeling of them that we cut ourselves free, because we feel how we change our perspective of them, because we're the doctors of time. And what do doctors do? They change the manuscript, they change the record, they change the Akash. Why? Because we've got the guts to feel. The moon rules the guts. We've got the guts to feel the old stories which we're not going to pass on to the next generation. We've got the guts to feel the stories which we're not willing to experience manana, tomorrow, the next day, or the one after. Because we are gifting ourselves with every full moon, with every cycle, the opportunity to free ourselves with the sickle. We are able to change. That is the death of what was and the rebirth into the potential of what can be. And you're worth it, of no less of feeling, of nurturing yourself. Feelings ain't bad, man. Okay, no. They are our opportunity to feel the salvation of our own glory. The tears that fall away, you know, the many layers that fall away through time, we air out all of them. Those tears, they're a route. They're a direct route to our salvation. They're salty. And so really, this is our greatest gift that we can give ourselves. Uranus square, boom, be unexpected. The kind of things that we can, the kind of value we can gain by alleviating ourselves, by feeling and cutting into what potentials we can liberate ourselves from. This is revolutionary. And so by the time we get to the full moon, which is actually at 29 degrees of Aquarius, finally, he got there. 38 minutes, he finally managed to get there. Yeah, we did. And this is actually very interesting because the sun's going to be conjunct the royal fixed star of Regulus at the time of this full moon at 29 degrees of Leo. This is an anaretic degree, a culminative degree. And so it's like when you have the pedal on a car down to the bottom, it's like pedal to the metal. The speedometer's going through the roof. And so what we want to do is kind of breathe through. What spiritual gifts have you got? How do you nurture yourself through things? You know, this is our time to really come into our own self-security, our own ability to recognize how we connect with ourselves, how we have sympathy, compassion, and how we heal ourselves as we recognize the old stories and see that this is a recognition of us being guides for the body which feels. The body hasn't done anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. We're just recognizing those feelings which cut us away from the old stories. This might even be massive change from the type of people and social groups that we've been connecting with. It might be a change of country. It might be a change of legacy. It might be a change of how you believe about the world. It might be a great awakening. It might just come like a flash, the change which cuts you free from something that you wanted to be cut free from oh so many days, minutes, years, whatever it might have been. And so we can only be open to the graces of these moments. We can find that this is a very powerful full moon indeed. And it's going to bring us the opportunity to really move forward. We see that Mercury is actually opposite Neptune at the time of the full moon. Mercury at 18 degrees ahead of Mars, starting to trine Pluto. And so we can see there's a certain intensity to the elusive nature of connection and conversations at this time. Discernment is always key. Remember that all is love, you and me, all the people, even if we don't see eye to eye, there's so many similarities. And again, with the media being ruled by Virgo with Mars in it, and them traveling together, it's like this threatening kind of directness. We're going to recognize that the sun will catch up with Mars and do a similar journey, and it will last a little bit more long. And that's when we move out of the Virgo season. That is a while off yet. But there's this conversation which is going to be heated. And it might just be how we temper ourselves, how we recognize our own temperament, how we learn to respond, how we learn to take responsibility, accountability, how we recognize that you're the bank. You don't need to go outside of you. Every exchange with one another is an opportunity to see that you are worthy. And if you're in a reassuring connection, if you feel the resonance, then you know that it's something that you want to go more and more into. You feel the credit, you feel the love, you feel that actually this is something I am keen for. However, if you feel that that's not there, then you go back, and that's okay too. You don't have to connect with everybody. You don't even have to tell them a new one. You know, we can all just recognize that there's so much division that everybody's okay to choose and to go their own way. Even if we used to go together, we might not always, and that's okay too. Some things might change, and yet we thought we were going together, and that's okay too. And so we feel that we are able to be that perfect alchemistry set within us, our opportunity to nurture ourselves with regards to the changes of situations and scenarios, whether it's a news thing, a national thing, whether it's a very personal thing with our lovers, with our mothers, with the people that we're looking to have a home with, or whether it's our more extended family. It could be something that's from the past. They might not even be present anymore. It might be a past situation which we're looking into, feeling into, remembering, resculpting, seeing that we weren't victim, and now we're more empowered. We've got greater compassion. In fact, astrology, the greatest tool for us to come into that position of the higher self. Aquarius is a bird's eye view. It rules astrology. And so it's us coming into the guise of recognizing ourselves from a disconnected perspective with more love. And so we can speak to ourselves and nurture ourselves as our own spirit guides, our precious bodies, giving us our spirits a home. Your home is your body. And so we can recognize that the body carries a lot of trauma because it was born into a family, and you as a guide, you genius, you spark, you beautiful star, precious body. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's been through so much, hasn't it? How can we hold that space? Well, that's what I do. If you want a personal consultation, I will hold that space for you, and we can go into your chart and we can actually look with revised eyes at some of our past experiences. And this is what I use astrology for personally, as well as with my clients. It's oh so healing because we can look. And it's a revolution. Oh, wow, I wasn't victim. I didn't realize all of these things were going on with those transits when I was 10, when I was 24, when I was 52. Whatever age you are, astrology is a great lens of perception for us broadening the scope of our love. that we're able to share with ourselves and for one another. And if you're not into all of that wishy-washy healing stuff, it's incredibly practical for your business arrangements too. You may be moving house. You may want me to help elect a chart for you to release your new business, your new website, whatever it is, I'm here for you. Get in contact. The usual way. All the information that you need to arrange a consultation is in the description box below. I'm grateful to be able to have the opportunity to do what I love in providing you your service. Do you wonder how you can learn about doing what you love? Because that's what we're all here to do. This is really what this Leo lunar cycle is encouraging us to do, is to tap into our joy. And joy, well, it's who I am. It's the ram. It's the right ascension of meridian. It's when we do the butterfly stroke and we go through transcending the need for these external support systems, and we support ourselves as centrifugal star beings who live off their own creative resources. That's what you and I are here to do. I do it as an astrologer, but you can find that your greatest vocational aptitudes are actually all there within your own astrology chart. And so I can help you empower yourself by looking at your midheaven, by looking at your second house, by looking at what you enjoy to do in your sixth house and your day-to-day rituals and routines, and we can find that actually you're very well equipped and that you have the skill set, you have the talent, which actually in Latin means fortune, and you have got the ability to be your own boss. That's what we're all here to do. We don't need to go working for somebody else 9 till 5. That ain't no way to make a living. You set your own hours. You set your own scene. You choose. I can help you. Unity is really where you want to be, inside your heart. All the information that you need is in the description box below. Right, here we go. We're going to go through each of these 12 signs. We've got about 45 minutes to an hour to do so. And we're going to start with Aquarius. Before I do, I'm going to wet the whistle, intending your whistles are wet, and yet you're finding yourself within gracious moments right here, right now. I see you in the live chat. Yasmina and Marta. Thank you for your presence, Robin Evans. And each one of you in the live chat, Angela Powell and Susie, I'm grateful for you. Somebody did a donation. Michelle, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for those donations. You are appreciated. Right, now, we're present. We're here. I'm grateful for you. What we're going to do is start with Aquarius. Oh, Aquarius. This is a full moon. It's almost like a blue moon because it's the second time. A blue moon is what we do in a Gregorian calendar month. But this is the second full moon within the zodiac sign of Aquarius within a month. And so there you go. This is within a zodiac month, within the sign. And so this is very interesting because it's about your identification with self. And obviously, Aquarius, you're all about others. And so it's about your identification with others, which you also feel that is part of who you are, and how to disconnect from those people as well, abruptly, necessarily, which is very Aquarian. If they don't serve you, you disconnect. You know boundaries better than anyone. You know, this is very powerful. It's like this higher intellectual. You might love someone. Doesn't mean they're not compassionate. Doesn't mean Aquarius isn't feeling. They're like, I know they're brilliant. I just can't hang out with them because it just doesn't serve me. You know, can't do business with them because it doesn't serve me emotionally. So there you go. Whatever it is, Aquarius, whatever you cut yourself free from, whether it's a farmer's market, whether it's Starbucks, whether it's a library, whether it's an old identification of something, there's so much more that can be gifted to you when you let go of the limitations, when we let go of the roadblocks. There's a few cards that popped out, 2 to be in fact. And we're going to do the 2 cards that popped out as well as the bottom of the pack. I only seen this one though. Oh, an opening! We do have a Grand Air Shrine at this time with Venus in its home sign now of Libra. We'll be there until the 10th of September. Check out that video if you didn't already. I'm sure you did. But this is very powerful. Venus in your 5th house, actually in your 9th house, Aquarius. So this is a saga now. Oh, it's a saga, isn't it? The full moon's conjunct Jupiter. We're easily, so easy for us to let go of belief systems. You could say, though, it's easy for us to have belief systems projected onto us, or we could be made partial. We could be very much made partial. I heard something going on. Somebody told me that there was loads of homeless people in a certain area. It might have been California, and they were offering them jabs. No, not punches. That other thing, like Mars, Mercury. There's a lot of it going on at the moment with that Mars, Mercury going thing. And so, yeah, they were offering them if they want a home, if they would get the jab. And that's a bit manipulative. That's a bit gaslighting. That's a bit, but they weren't giving them the actual medicine that they needed because they was already ill because they were homeless. They actually had an illness, like, you know, gangrene, diabetes, whatever it was, but yet they just give them the jab, which they didn't need, which might make them more ill. Isn't it so mad? And so that's just a story, but so many stories spun. I mean, you could say that that's a bit like, okay, well, what are you opening to? I mean, that's just a story. You might not be open to that story, but certainly these things knocking around, these different medias, these different hearsays, well, they change our belief systems. Oh, so you got your Empress and you got the Queen of Wands, the sun, back in Leo at 29 degrees, shining its bold, creative lights. It's like you don't have to go far. Aquarius, you are a star. You encapsulate it all. You've got it all. And so you just be within your heart. Yeah. Let go of whatever doesn't serve you from the outside, because it's their loss. You know, it might alleviate you. Oh, yes. Isn't this lovely? I love it. Yes, indeed. So for Aquarius, we're looking at a massive change in the fixed energy, a massive letting go of old belief systems due to your creativity, due to the receptivity of what's going on for you. So we've got the Empress and we've got the Queen of Wands. This is that being open to a new sense of identity. Oh, of course it is. First house, full moon. Identification with this massive change which is going on in the world, shifting belief systems. Oh, Jupiter is the world. The full moon is just a few degrees away from Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. It's very interesting. So this is, you could suggest a reading for the collective with this Aquarius, Empress, Queen of Wands, and the Death card. Change or be changed. What are you going to choose? Are you choosing you? Are you feeling good about choosing you? Are you open to choosing the value of who you are? Well, I think it's a brilliant metamorphosis as we liberate ourselves to our own personal revolution. Lovely. Someone in the chat said you might get offered a free kebab with your jab. I'd rather take a pinch punch first of the month kind of action going on. But anyway, I'm not going to bang on about these belief systems because at the end of the day, we're all on the same page. It's just, but if you don't talk about it, then it might be that it's not your favorite thing. If you don't talk about it, I mean, I've heard I was just having my brunch today in the cafe, very Aquarius, and I was listening to an Aquarius girl. She's really funny, and she was like, well, I was getting my thingy yesterday, and this other girl which was with me, she was getting her thingy too, and this happened, and then there was a dog and it licked our face. Yeah, okay. Okay. So we just live and let live to a certain degree with our love and compassion. I wouldn't want a dog licking my face this year, last year, or another year. And that's not going to be very popular to say, right? Because everybody loves their dogs. But is it hygienic? Anyway, I think it probably is okay. It's going to only make you have a stronger immune system. I'd let you lick my face. Anyway, this is all by the by. I've got a Mercury-Uranus conjunction, and we do have this Uranus trine to your Mercury-Mars at the moment, and this Aquarius full moon. Authenticity, transparency goes a long way. Next is our next moment. Reebson, I'm grateful for you. And our moment says, Pisces, this is a full moon in your 12th house. A 12th house full moon for your Pisces, just like the last one. But this one, rather than being nearer Saturn, it's nearer Jupiter. And Jupiter had only just regressed. Is it like the day before the last full moon? Let's just check. Oh, I'm curious. I mean, I've been traveling, and so much has happened. I really couldn't tell you if it was just before or just after. I'm pretty sure it's just before, that Jupiter made a regress back into Aquarius. Let me just check. I'm having a gander now. Bum 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 bum. It was here-ish. Okay, so yeah, it was Jupiter was still in Pisces. So actually, the last full moon, Jupiter, it was the day after that Jupiter would have made regress into Aquarius, or so, something like this, a couple of days after. Let me just check. It was actually a few days after, when the moon was waning. It was actually when the moon went into Aries. So it was only 2 days, like 3 days after, 4 days after the full moon. So this is the first full moon since Jupiter regressed back from Pisces, your first house, Pisces, back into Aquarius. And so this is very intriguing because there's a whole lot more identifications with regards to your 12th house affairs if there wasn't already enough. And so this is a massive weight lifting. I mean, it's like an heretic degree, the 29th culminative degree of Aquarius, where we have our full moon. And let's just think and perceive about it for Aquarius. Again, it might be a lot of work with regards to the body. This is where the moon is, like where Cancer rules the 6th house of Aquarius. Whereas for Pisces, it's like the 5th house. You might be releasing some creative endeavor, some devotion to the collective. You might be finding that there's lots of emotions which is in your heart, which you can help release at this time in a very creative way in your day-to-day rituals and routines. Interesting, so it is. And again, there's a valve, like a release valve. We can consider Uranus because the release valve, and that's in the 3rd house. How can you communicate about things that maybe you've never spoken about before? Maybe like, I'm never talking about that one again. Maybe it's about a change of environment as well, you know, a massive change and shift of environment and social scene for you, Pisces. 12th house is endings, karmic endings. And so we might feel that there's so many karmic endings going on for you right now. Just the last full moon in your 12th house, and then Jupiter, your ruling planet, went retrograde into the 12th house, and now this full moon's conjunct your ruling planet in your 12th house. Pisces! Haven't you had enough already? And so it will be that Jupiter goes back into your 1st house, but not until December 28th. And so this is a massive opportunity for you to decompress, to release. You might have been taking it on for years, 12 years at least, since Jupiter was there. And so Saturn's there as well. Saturn's not going to be making its ingress into your 1st house, obviously, for a fair few years, till 2023. But these decompress, and once it does, well, then Jupiter will go there. So there's this theme. We've got Neptune. There's this theme. Everything's got to drag through Pisces, and then everything's got to drag through the 12th house of Pisces, because what we're doing is we're letting go of illusions, we're letting go of martyrs, we're letting go of our projections of people that we consider to be saviors, because that ain't saving you or I. It's actually getting us deep into things which aren't necessarily going to give us the medicine which we seek. And so this is what we're learning about, disconnecting. And this is perfect. You couldn't ask for the more perfect card for a 12th house full moon conjuncture ruling planet, and it's in an air sign. And so we got 10, which is completion, the end of an old perspective that or belief system that don't serve you no more about the world. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which rules your 10th house, which rules where the South Node Cato is. Very big, 10 swords, ideas about yourself in the world being let go of. But it's placing you back into the driver's seat, into the center of you, into your creative. You get to recreate your perspective on you, on the world, of your society, of the reality, of your genius, of your expectations, of your belief systems about the world, and what you can do and create within that space. You're shrewd, Pisces. There's a lot of air, so you might want to talk about it. Uranus in the 3rd house. You might want to talk about it. You might want to express something that you haven't expressed. You might want to express these things. Open up to new potentials, new ways of expressing, new ways of creating, new ways of nurturing you. Maybe it's your turn to be nurtured, Pisces. 10 swords, Queen of Wands, 12th house, full moon at 29 degrees of Aquarius. Conjunct Jupiter. Very nice. And there you go. Aries, this is an interesting full moon for you guys. Your ruling planet Mars is actually making its transit with Mercury through Virgo, through your 6th house, day-to-day rituals and routines. Don't have to speak about it. You just got to choose to do it. Be in the action. Activate yourself within your day-to-day conclusions. I today knew that I had a long list of things to do, lots of hurdles, lots of ropes to jump, and I was like, hey, I'm starting with 20 minutes grace. And I was like, grateful for this, grateful for fall asleep, grateful for this, grateful for that, doze off a bit, grateful for this and grateful for that. And it really does help. Those extra few minutes dozing and the gratitude really does pay off. Because, yeah, there's been moments where I was like, I had to do a bit of this, I had to do a bit of that, and that was a little bit intense, a little bit like that. And yet, through those gracious moments, I also had loads of opportunities to find that I was singing, hopping, skipping around my way as I pranced about my business. So I use these examples to make an example of myself. Why? Because Aries, you're ruling planets in the sign of the Hermeticist. It's in Virgo, about your day-to-day rituals and routines. And it's about how you speak to yourself. It's about how you anchor a message of a high vibrational frequency of love within yourself in all of your moments right here now, because you can, because no one else is going to go do it for you. So when you choose to do it for you, and you communicate about it directly to you, then you know that you're anchoring a vibrational frequency of love. I said that Virgo rules the media, didn't I? Well, what do you see on the media except for a bunch of news anchors? Well, what's new around here except for I'm grateful for me. I'm grateful for the fact that I get to choose to take myself to go for a coffee and avocado toast after dancing at the bus stop first thing in the morning. I'm grateful for me and these opportunities. I'm grateful for the opportunity to come and speak to you. I'm grateful for the opportunity to come and do this. And so we anchor these frequent messages. Mars is going to be there for a while, Aries. And so this is a full moon in your 11th house. You might find when you're exploring your vicinities, going and getting your avocado toast, maybe you don't do that. Maybe you're down the gym. I don't know. Whatever it is you're choosing to do, you might find that the old things are falling away. The old beliefs, the old limitations, well, they are. They're falling away, those layers, those old identifications, those old groups, those old friendships, those old spheres of influence. They don't actually have any influence over you because you're choosing you, which is what Aries do. They put themselves first. So you're going after it. You're going direct. And you've got this conjunction with Mercury going on. And so there's this opportunity to find that there might be a lot of frustrations, maybe communications, but how can you use this for determinations? For me, because you only get frustrated if you're held up, waiting. And yet, if you don't feel heavy, then you're not waiting because you're just activating. So this is very powerful, very healthy, very nice, very lovely. And so full moon for you, Aries, in your 11th house, community spheres, changing up your belief systems, looking at other things that may take your interest, pursuing them, Aries. I love it. And so we're looking at an emotional shift, so of course, a metamorphosis, a change of how you connect with other people and the emotional connection which you share with them. And that's obvious because it's Aquarius full moon. And so we also have this Mars energy. It's a new life for me. I'm going that way. I'm going to do all the things that bring me into my health, my enjoyment, that allow me to have day-to-day rituals and routines to create traction for my practices, for my pastimes, for my hobbies, for my talents, for my enjoyments. Yeah, for those, my enjoyments. And so when we're doing those things that you enjoy and you make a craft out of them, you create your love, your passion, your invigoration, your enthusiasm from them in your day-to-day rituals and routines. My gosh, they just pay off. They pay off eventually because you can get an opportunity to do this, live off your craft, and actually enjoy doing what you do. That's fantastic. It all pays off. If you've got a 10,000 hours plus, it means that you can live off it because that's a special skill. That's a talent which it's within your wheelhouse. This is a whole new cycle for you, Aries. Cut yourself free from anything that don't serve you because you are capable of going out on a whole new journey. It's your journey. It's the hero's journey. Oi, oi! Go out there, sunshine. You're a genius. This is Aries, and it's a full moon in Aquarius at 29 degrees for you guys. Mars, your ruling planet, in that conjunction with Mercury in Virgo. Nice. Let me take a sip of my beverage. I like that person's name in the live chat. Ayo! I'm grateful for you. Lynn Anderson says, SMM. She's always singing, and she's always changing the script, and she's turning on off the TV. Turn off the TV. Yes, I love that. Tell your own vision. Sing loud, sing proud, sunshine. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for smiling along, Weebson. Thank you for exclaiming, Robin. Everybody in the live chat, you are deeply appreciated. Did you know that you can give yourself a thumbs up? You can give this video a thumbs up while you're doing it, and I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being you. And next, what we're going to be doing is a little bit of Taurus. Well, very interestingly, Venus made ingress into Libra. And so for Taurus, you guys, you know, that's your 6th house, and that's your ruling planet. And so for the next 3 weeks, you're going to have Venus, and at the time of the full moon in Aquarius, you've got Venus in the Grand Air trine. And that's a very interesting Grand Air trine between your 6th house, your 2nd house, and where Aquarius is, which is your 10th house, where the full moon is. So this is about communicating your value in your day-to-day rituals and routines and your work. Very much about the work. You could be like, roll up, roll up. I've been knitting scarves. I've been making lovely vegan delicacies, and it might be that you're selling them. You're taking your sphere of influence, you've squared it up, and you've taken it to the workplace, Taurus, because the Aquarius is your 10th house. That is the workplace. And so you can find that there's a completion project. You've actually completed a project, and you're actually able to really bring your sphere of influence, nurture yourself, create a bridge, sell it, because your portfolio is like, well, nobody is going to be able to give you the quality that Taurus can. So we all want a little bit of it. You can smell it in the air. And so this is very beneficial for us to recognize your value there, Taurus, and see that this is a very great scene in you shifting your belief systems. Full moon conjunct Jupiter is like, wow, you can do something which you felt so limited. No limit. No limit for you, Taurus, at all with regards to this full moon in Aquarius. I think it's very interesting indeed. And we can look at, actually, it's a massive weight off the belief systems that you might have with other people that you do business with, or you have in connection, because Jupiter ruling like your 8th house. And so this is very interesting. It also rules your 11th house. So this is very interesting with the full moon conjunct Jupiter. It's a massive alleviation about our belief systems, about people we do have in spiritual communities, or the belief systems that we share within our families and our personal relationships, because the 8th house of Taurus is Sagittarius and the 11th house of Taurus is Pisces. And so this is very interesting for you guys. Full moon in your 10th house, massive change, but you've got Uranus in your 1st house, Taurus. Yes. So this is massive innovation. The moon, when it's waxing the day before, it's going to square Uranus and Taurus. And this is about a massive change of your own identifications, massive shifts of us. And so this is very powerful. We got the King of Cups for you, Taurus. 10th house, full moon, raining it in. It's the end of Leo season, and it's about being within the emotional creativity. Oh, yes. It is actually, you're able to create something from your emotions and gain stability from it. And this is very, very official. It's very, very assertive of you. It's masculine energy. It's just standing within it, standing upright. It's like, I'm going to stand for myself. And wow, where is this full moon? If not at the top of your sky, and in the sign of Aquarius. I mean, they're all in Aquarius, but because this is where the full moon is, but they got the star card. So you can find that you may be able to make a quantum leap, especially if Uranus there in your 1st house. It could be a hop, skip, and a jump. You just have to meet one person, and they can just tell the world about you. You can just be that changes your belief system. It's like, oh, I've just got this opportunity to really push my products. Do you know what? I've got a friend who I did an astrology reading for a couple of years ago, maybe even as far back as 2018. And she was actually doing something which was like she didn't enjoy, like modeling or something like this. And then she had a baby, and she went back to live with her mum, and she felt really crap because she was out doing modeling, living in New York. And then she had to go back to the family home and have a baby. But the thing is, when she was making baby, when she had the baby and she was being with her mum, she did a lot of healing, and then she actually started her own business making soaps from home, organic vegan soaps, even made breast milk soaps, but loads of varieties. She's a smash hit on TikTok. And to the degree that her business online took off through the roof, and she actually owns a shop now. She has her own store where she sells her soap from, not just online, but in the high street. That's manifesting. That's going to change your belief systems. That's really cool, right? This is that type of thing. So Taurus, full moon in your 10th house, the King of Cups and the Star card. And it's about changing our belief systems, because you just need to know one person. They can tell someone, you're like, do you know, I know someone who makes soaps. You just tell this, and they're like, well, I know that that's going to be very profitable. Organic soaps, goodness gracious, it's cheap and easy to sell. Everybody knows the clean. Let's put it out there. And this person is now an entrepreneur from being someone who just went to do something interesting while she was like a stay-at-home mum. Like, now she's an entrepreneur. Brilliant, right? Greetings to you, Stephen. I'm grateful for you. And the CDOTY TV, you're appreciated. I'm grateful for each and every single one of you. That was Taurus for the full moon in your 10th house. Next, we got Gemini, full moon in your 9th house. And it's very interesting with your ruling planet. Your ruling planet is in your 10th, is in your 4th house at the moment. But Mercury is in a conjunction with Mars at the time of this full moon. Mercury will go ahead at this current time. Mercury does go ahead. It will be at 18 degrees, making an opposition to Neptune retrograde, making a trine to Pluto retrograde. And so there is this kind of, you might not be able to see clearly until after the reign of the full moon is gone. But that's okay. So how can you nurture yourself where you're at? How can you be with where you're at? The full moon for you guys in your 9th house is just about changing belief systems. You can be on hermit mode quite easily. Mercury also rules Virgo, and so it's in the 4th house. You're nurturing yourself, learning to nurture yourself, learning to be your own greatest lover, like no other. And that's very beneficial. And so we can let go of many of the mother matriarchal belief systems. Full moon in the 9th house, conjunct Jupiter. And so this is very powerful for you guys, Geminis, because Jupiter rules 7th house and 10th house. So it's a belief systems about you in the world and about you that you project, expectations which you feel are projected onto you, but they might not necessarily be. But it's actually about your own experience, because they're what you carry in your body. It's what we carry in our body which we project always. And so it's our emotional line. It's all the things which we're here to heal and doctor and recognize. And so as you recognize yourself within this full moon, it can be a massive healing opportunity for you to take care of yourself and love yourself stronger and more so than ever before. I think that's very nice, very dear. I feel you there. I feel you, Gemini. Ooh, 3 cups. You are all about that communication. It's about communicating your emotions rather than keeping them pent up, disregarding them, pushing them away. Maybe you are safe to communicate them. Maybe actually you can recognize that's one of your greatest talents. You've got Cancer in the 2nd house. And so this ability to communicate your emotions can be one of your finest qualities once tapped into. Taurus is part of your is your connection to the collective that makes you so valuable. So when you speak emotionally, Gemini, it can be that you're channeling the value of the collective. So it's about your identification with Mars and Mercury together. And yet, how do you nurture yourself? This is the Knight of Wands. It's about your identification with your emotions and your identification with communicating emotions. And I think it's better off said. But speak to yourself gently. Speak to yourself with love. Speak to yourself with compassion. Why? Whoa. Because you're worthy of no less. 3 cups and Knight of Wands. Full moon conjunct Jupiter at 29 degrees of Aquarius, and that is for Gemini. Nope, we started at Aquarius, we've done Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and next we got Cancer. I appreciate you, Angela. I'm glad that you enjoy my enthusiasm. And Breezy Windflower, you're listening while you're working. You had a massive breakdown. Did you? That's useful. Thank you. Loving the vibes and such great channeled messages. Yeah, sometimes you've got to break down to break through. So my heart's with you, intending that you're being with you as well. Amazing, yes. physically, Lynn, I appreciate you, even though I can't say physician very easily. I'm grateful for you. So next, let's do Cancer. Well, you're ruled by the moon, so obviously very powerful for you, and this is a full moon in your 8th house, and so this is a great opportunity for you to find a massive letting go of old unforeseen emotions with regards to partnerships, maybe even letting go of old partnerships that don't serve you. Maybe it's about feelings that hadn't been seen which come up, but they've got to be addressed, and it can be a surprise, but it can change our belief systems about who we are or who those others are, or the even collaborative projects which you are sharing there. And so again, like it's like, well, it's going to come like a flash from the darkness. This is 8th house full moon in Aquarius. Must be used to that though, Cancer. And so there with the full moon there conjunct Jupiter, it's a massive change with regards to your belief systems. Jupiter rules Pisces for you guys, which is your 9th house, as well as it ruling your 6th house. It could be like work endeavors or health or national crisis or all those types of things. And so great opportunity for you to release yourself from any of that. And so the way that you can do that is with nurturing emotions, holding space for you and others. Maybe other people will hold space for you. Maybe you can hold space for yourself first, and that can be very beneficial. It's 8th house full moon for Cancer, and we got 8 swords and the 4 of cups. Letting go of old thoughts, projections, intelligences that aren't smart. No, they make us assume things are thoughts. We're not always clear like a feeling, which truly is a grand revealing. We shall seize the opportunity to let go of these old communicative ways or projections or thoughts or whatever they might be, through the true emotional rapport which one can build with oneself and through our exchanges with one another. It could be that we get a new intelligence, a new way of connecting, which sets us free from the old. Very nice. Stephen says he's Dr. Feelgood. Yes, I appreciate that. You've got to feel through all of the hogwash to be able to feel good sometimes, though. But then it feels great. It's worth it. It's worth it every single time. Leo, this is a full moon for you on the very last day of your Leo season. Happy solar return to you, Leos. It will be that the sun makes ingress into Virgo the day after this full moon. In fact, it's only going to be hours after, really. But this is the full moon in your 7th house, which again, it's all about these projections. You can see that there's a theme who's been sticking around. These projections, they have a certain theme to them, don't they? Because what we're looking at is actually a massive shift in consciousness. If you've got a full moon conjunct Jupiter, which is all about consciousness and higher thought, but really, when you think about the higher thought, we determine it to be like the sky and Uranus and Jupiter, but really, consciousness is within us all. So let's get deep. Let's get deep within it. Let's take responsibility for the banker. Let's take accountability for who you are. And you're a sound vibrational frequency being. Let's recognize that stuff. Right, Leo, this is about the new moon cycle, which started in your 1st house, but yet now it's a full moon in 7th house. What gets in your way? How do you find that your projections, your assumptions, all these old emotional stories get in your own way? And so this could be that actually these things came from your community. Like, I've got to act like this so that they can see me like who I am, wanting to be seen to be. And yet now there's a new way of communicating that can be done. There's a new way of formulating these types of connections and building bridges, which can be practiced. We've got 3 wands, and this can let go of assumptions when you directly communicate who you are, rather than thinking they've already seen me. They would have given me it if I thought that they cared about me. Or maybe they do care. Maybe they are going above and beyond. But actually, the communication of it means that we can let go of assumptions. It means that we can actually... It's always about clear communication. If we're assuming people got the idea or whatever it might have been, that's going to really not work for us. We've got to be pretty direct and prolific when we want to be heard. It doesn't mean we have to be aggressive or rude. It just means that we care enough. It's a bit like sometimes when you're direct in your communication. This is just a great example. I mean, I tip my hat. It's a good example. I just tip my hat because actually, if a baby is by the stove or by a hot water, and you're like, get off because you don't want the baby to get burned. It's not because we're angry with baby. So if we say something direct to somebody, like, get your money out of the bank, because maybe we can learn to say it with a little less temper, but actually it's through caring and compassion. If it's like, don't get that thing, you might regret that thing that you might get later if you got it, then it's coming out of compassion. But there's other ways to reveal this type of thing, other ways of creatively communing and connecting. And so discernment's key. Full moon, 7th house, you've got 7 cups and the 3 of wands for Leo. And so there you go. It's very interesting. We're cutting ourselves free of old belief systems. We're letting go of old projections and assumptions. And you can be seen in a different light, but discernment is always key. But really, beyond the light, we're looking beyond the illusions for the truth, which is a sound vibration frequency. Your discernment is key. All keys are frequencies. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Da, 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 do, do, do. They're the chakras and the planets. Well, they are them. Anyway, moving back to where we are going, and where we are going next, well, it's Virgo. Thank you for your presence, Virgo. You are deeply and dearly appreciated, and it's a very good time for you guys because you got Venus in your 2nd house, you got Mars and Mercury. Well, they're in your 1st house, but yet at the time of this full moon, the Sun will be the last of the planets to make ingress into your 1st house. So this full moon you can recognize as quite a cosmic clearing for you guys, because the Sun, very last degree of your 12th house there, in whole house signs, obviously, and this means that the full moon is actually 180 degrees across the way in Aquarius, which for you guys, well, Virgo, it's your wheelhouse, it's your 6th house. And so it's really great for you because it's about how you trade, who you're connecting with. You know, Virgo, if you're all about the yoga, you're all about the farmer's market, you're all about the stats and the information, maybe you're all about the Bitcoin. I don't know what kind of hobbies, pastimes, and things that you're doing there, Aquarius, but really you're yielding results. You're activating yourself. You've been doing it for a while. And so the organic nature of your own smarty pants intelligence can really come into greater produce. You might be finding that you're releasing and completing projects at this time. Very, very nice. And so it is actually, you know, when all of the planets pass through your 12th house, it's like a karmic clear out, but the Sun ain't done it yet. And so this is about recognizing the limitations which you cast on your own creativity, and the ideas which you create from are often channeled, right? The devotions. You're like, I'm doing it for the collective. And so this is about recognizing yourself as worthy to manifest your wildest dreams from doing something which is integral to you, which is for other people, you know? And so this is very powerful indeed. Okay? I do intend that you're receiving me. What's the feedback from you Virgos in the live chat? Do you receive me? Are you receiving the fact that, yes, you've got a whole load of skill sets? 6th house, full moon, conjunct Jupiter, but maybe you thought limitations on it. Maybe you thought, I can't do this on a worldwide level. I can't live off this. But actually, yes, you can. You can. You can actually find that this is very beneficial for you. Wow, that card was amusing. It so wanted to come out. It jumped and it went back in. Maybe it was shy. And so this one wasn't, though. This one was for you. This is a very shrewd Knight of Swords. Thank you for the feedback, Michelle. Virgo rising, yoga, farming. I was right, spot on. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Tammy. I'm grateful for you. And Ayo, I appreciate you. Yeah, we got the Knight of Swords. It's about very shrewd operations. You're a shrewd operator. And so this is very beneficial for you, Knight of Swords Virgonians, as you actually go and deploy yourself. It's about repackaging yourself every single day, about recognizing that you are worthy and that you're here to stay. You're here to be your enigmatic genius self in all of your situations because you are able. So enable yourself, activate yourself, because this is a brand new beginning for you in recognizing your value. Very nice. Very nice. You can recognize that actually Jupiter, which is in a conjunction with the full moon, rules over your 7th house, which is how you feel seen. And It also rules the bottom of your sky, so you're letting go of belief systems that may have been inserted into your consciousness by the family. Of course, it's a full moon. The matriarchal line says release and feel into those old belief systems, limitations. Of course you can live off your own back in your farm, off your yoga, off your whatever it is, discipline which you've cultivated, which is your talents. You're worthy of it. Knight of Swords, Ace of Pentacles for Virgo. Full moon in your 6th house, 29 degrees of Aquarius. I love it too. Thank you very much, Nature's Reflection. You are a miracle. I'm grateful for you. Going through difficult times, are you? This is as Waira. Excuse me for not being able to say your name very well. But yeah, you are probably having South Node go over your Pluto, because you say you're born in 1995. And Pluto would have been in Sagittarius right at the beginning then, I would imagine. And so this means a lot, you know. If you've got the South Node going over your Pluto, you're letting go of lots of karmic emotions about the collective, because Pluto rules the 12th house of Sagittarius. And so with the South Node moving backwards over the Pluto placements for all people born around 1995, this is a massive karmic alleviation. You can find that you're healing the collective. Take a great honor in giving yourself love, because you're healing the collective and you're a young star just like me. And so we are all doing our part, even if you're elder star, like there are many people who've done a lot of spiritual work, but young stars are doing just as much. No matter our age, we were all born into these situations just at the perfect time so that we can contribute in our own way. And each of us deserves the credit, the credibility, and the accountability that it takes for us to embody and recognize these things that we live and grow through, because we are magnificent beings and we are massively shifting our consciousness. Let me just have a little pause for a moment. I'm looking at this date, this person's chart, 18th of January. That's when your birthday, Uranus, will be going direct in 2022. But it was actually that Pluto made ingress into Sagittarius on the 17th of January 1995. So this is a massive diversion, but a very interesting astrological diversion. Because that person, the day before your birth was when Pluto made ingress into Sagittarius. And so that's very interesting, right? And you said you're a Capricorn born. Yeah, so obviously your sun is in the 2nd house, but your Pluto rules your 12th. So interesting, all of these different things. And so, yeah, the South Node is in December. South Node will go over your Pluto, gentlemen. And so, and for everybody born in 1995, that's a massive alleviation. You can reprocess the collective emotions, and we all know there's a lot of collective emotions. 12th house Scorpio for Sagittarius, the South Node transit. It's interesting stuff. You're an Aries and Pisces. How does this affect? Well, I've already been through Aries and Pisces there, lovely Chantel, and so you'll have to go back. I'm sure lovely person will put the timestamps up. I certainly haven't got the time to do that, as I'm a very busy man. However, lovely person will put the timestamps up from Aquarius all the way through. Next, we're going to do Libra. I did pull a card for Virgo. Just that was the last one I did. Helen, thank you for your presence. Lovely distractions, lovely chat. I'm grateful for you. That's probably why the timestamps would be so relevant. I'm grateful for the feedback. I'm glad that that was beneficial. And obviously, a few months gives the best thing about astrology and knowing the transits is that you know that you're going to have the South Node going over that Pluto for the next few months. So it's a process. You've got the opportunity. You've got time to process. And Saturn grants us time. We've got nothing but the place while we're here. And so what we can do is make the most of it. Tap into your art, tap into your creativity, tap into astrology, whatever gives you curiosity. All those great things. And if you want a personal consultation, you know how you can get hold of me. In the description box below, I'll hold the space. And if I can get that much, just from a moment of someone's inclinations in the chat, imagine what I can actually do with your birth chart in front of me. All the information you need is in the description box below. Arrange a personal consultation. Well, Libra, you had Venus ingress into your first house yesterday. Venus is your ruling planet and shall be in your first house for the next few weeks. Oh, yes, indeed. It shall be there until September the 10th. And so this is very nice indeed. And Helen is a Libra moon. Very good for you too. And so am I. I'm a Libra ascendant as well. So for Libra, this is a full moon for you in your 5th house, second one in a row. This one's at 29 degrees, and it's in a conjunction with Jupiter. Oh, yes, it is, which means it's about letting go of old belief systems about your communication. It's letting go of old belief systems about your body, about your health, about your own embodiment of your day-to-day rituals and routines, about what you can do, what you can manifest due to the deployment of your continued hard work. You can find that you can manifest a legacy. Oh, my goodness, gosh. You can manifest the ability to do anything that which you choose to do. It's about how you feel, that you see you. Venus will be in a grand air trine at the time of this full moon, and it will be going into the trine of Saturn retrograde in the 5th house, as well as Rahu in your 9th house. So this is about stabilizing your belief systems about your creativity. Oh, yes, it is, and who that you choose to do creativity with in your spheres of influence and networks, with the lunar cycle having started in your 11th house, and that's where the sun shall be at the time of this full moon. Wow, there you go. If that ain't a lot, who is? We are. So Libra, this is a full moon for you in your 5th house, conjunct Jupiter. Letting go of those belief systems is a bit like letting go of a whole load of heaviness. If you've got loads of sandbags, that's going to keep you right down here. But when you let go of them by feeling into them, it can be the buoyancy goes, ba-dum! Your trajectory can be like, ba-dum! You can go flying, a quantum leap. That's for all of us at this time. So, Libra, the card which we got for you guys. Ooh, it's this. It's not about going too much into the light, into the illusions, into the information, into the confusions of words. It's not about going too much into the darkness, into the sound, into the vibrations, into the confusion, into all the different things that you could discover. It's about being able to dance in between the two, about being able to gain perspectives in between the slides, in between the moments. You're able to be present. Just fork yourself into the present, current moment, here, now, into the vibration of your own contentment, into the graces of your own momentum. Oh, Libra, this is a time traveling card. This is beyond time. So what you can find is that you're able to leave your mark, etch your groove into your own creative heart, because this is the metamorphosis as you recognize that you are worthy. 8 Pentacles, you are worthy of being able to do what you love, and nothing can stop you. Believe will keep you stuck if you believe you can't, but having faith in your heart's desire, well, you'll manifest it. Libra, High Priestess, 8 Pentacles, a metamorphosis of your ability to just hold space for you and manifest all the things that you can perceive in your vision, in your heart. You're worthy. Wow. Thank you very much, Brandon Bartlett Arnson. I'm grateful. And profound is a very good term for Aquarius. Profound is very beneficial. And Julia, you're a rock star. We all are. We are here within this earth. We're rocking it. Just like Mother Earth rocks the cradle. We're rocking ourselves, nurturing ourselves. It's the only way to be, man. I'm grateful for you. Next, we got Scorpio. Wow, Scorpio, your ruling planet. Well, it's Mars. Mars is actually in Virgo. And for you Scorpio folks, that's very interesting for you guys, because it gives you the opportunity for you to come into greater connections with your community, to go deep into those types of people where you might find you gain stability with. And with Mars traveling with Mercury, it can be very interesting. It's all about that communication. But your other ruling planet, Scorpio, well, it's Pluto, and Pluto's retrograde in Capricorn. Oh, yes. It will be that we got the Uranus turning, retrograde just before the full moon, while the moon's transit through Capricorn, where your Pluto is in your 3rd house. It's about these communications. Sometimes things just get said. Sometimes it's about what we hear. You can't unhear something once it's been said either. And so it's very interesting. But the full moon's taking place in your 4th house. in fellow fixed energy of Aquarius in a conjunction with Jupiter, which is change, mutable energy. It's going to change the way that we felt stable. It's going to bring an opportunity to lead. Moon is cardinal ourselves by our emotions into a change about our belief systems so that we have a greater stable perspective on who we are, which nurtures us. It rocks because we're rock stars. It rocks because it's the 4th house full moon, Scorpio. Goodness gracious me. Imagine imagine your image and what you would like to have manifest. Nurture your image. That's a genius move. How can you find yourself connecting with your community, feeling at home with those people around you? Wow. Got a couple of cards coming out for you, Scorpio. And they are, woo, 6 Pentacles, Mars, Scorpio, and it's in Virgo, the 6th sign. This is about honoring the details of your value in your connection to other people. And are you getting a fair trade? Are you getting an equal exchange rate? Well, your emotional belief systems will be the judge of this. And so we can recognize the full moon conjunct Jupiter is about letting go of emotional belief systems that may have been put into the scene by the family line or by the people that you're communicating with, your friendship groups, your spheres of influence, these types of things, maybe a bit of both. Interesting. And the bottom of the pack, let it go. Let it all go. The stability that comes after letting something like that go means that you can build from a stable ground all the way up. We got a very, very, very nice 6 Pentacles and a very, very nice 9 Cups. This is about honoring the embodiment of who we are and trusting our feelings and instincts in our body. And sometimes recognizing the trauma which we hold there too. And if we can find that we don't have to base all of our decisions on the trauma which comes up for us, we can alleviate that. If actually, I can base my decisions on something else. I'm not carrying this anymore. Whose trauma are we carrying? Is it the families? The nationalities? Ooh! Are we going to perpetuate the story of? Are we going to cleanse ourselves by feeling into how we can let go of it and communicate it? Unforeseen situations can sometimes go unheard, but when you recognize them for yourself, you can change your belief system, nurture yourself all the way up from the inside out. 6 Pentacles, 9 Cups, and a Tower card for Scorpio. 29 degrees of Aquarius, full moon conjunct Jupiter. Very nice. You can find that it's about creating. You can find it's about honoring your value. Again, letting go of things that make you feel depleted or unvaluable can be very beneficial. I'm grateful for your lovely reflections, you bunch of stars. Venus Revive, thank you for being present. I appreciate you. You're all fantastic, each and every single one of you. And now we've got Sagittarius. Sagittarius, you've got the South Node in your sign, Jupiter. Last time we had a full moon, your ruling planet, well, it was all the way back in its other home sign, in your 4th house. It was actually in Sagittarius, in Pisces. But since then, Jupiter is retrogressed all the way back from 0 degrees Pisces. Just moving back. It's gone all the way back to 26 degrees and is in a conjunction with this full moon. So this means that we're able to let go of so many belief systems through communicating our own emotions, Sag, because it's your 3rd house of communicating. And so you can find that everybody loves a bosom, baby. The full moon, when it rules the chest, you want to get things off your chest. You want to be able to alleviate yourself of the heaviness and all of the rest and all of the west. It's just about being able to find the connections, and there's always somebody who will listen to you. There's already somebody who's going to hold space for you. And even if you believe that they're not, that's an old belief system of your own identity that you can let go of. This is their key 6 months of it, Sagittarius. Let go of those belief systems about you, which are limiting, that you feel not recognized, not wanted, not perceived because you are. Oh, you are so dearly wanted, you're so recognized, you're such a facet of the society and your family and the people around you. You contribute so much. You teach, you school, you're the guru, you're the great benefic. You're ruled by Jupiter, right? And that is what's conjunct this full moon. This is a massive emotional identification which you're able to alleviate yourself from. And it can be very, very empowering for you indeed. Really recognizing that Cancer's your 8th house. So it's about your communications with other people nearest and dearest to you, whether it's matriarchal or children or in the home, these types of things, just opening up a space and holding a space. Sometimes these things, they can make a little gap we can in our connections to other people, but it's better off spoken softly and dearly. We can come into greater connections with each other. We don't have to allow these divisions to rule the roost. You're worthy of having great connections. And even if you can't see eye to eye, then there are emotions which can bond us. We can create other ways to love, other languages to share our love. And so, Sagittarius, goodness gracious me. Card which we got for you guys. I didn't expect it to be so emotional for you guys, Jesus. And so the Lovers is about our reflections in it. Just, there's a grand air trine with Rahu in your 7th house and to Venus, which is actually in your 11th house. And so this is also going back down to your 3rd house. So lots of communications, different types of people, lots of reflections, projections, presumptions, all these different things which we're working with. And yet your heart is your greatest tool, and your heart, the sun. Well, that Leo energy is your 9th house of belief systems. Maybe it's a creative way of communicating things from another angle, a creative way of releasing old things that might be obscuring your ability to come into your fullness and move in with the moon. It's not going to be there next week. Feel into it, let go, alleviate yourself from the old cycle and liberate yourself in a quantum way to the potentials of what can be. A whole new type of conversation with yourself and with others as well. The Lovers, as well as the 5 of Wands. Very nice indeed. Cultivate a new way of connecting, a new way of communicating, a new way of holding space and being. I'm grateful for you. Yvonne, you're appreciated. Thank you very much, Robin. I'm grateful for you. You're fantastic. Do I know jiu-jitsu? No, I've never done jiu-jitsu, but would be interesting. I think it'd take a lot of time, like astrology. It takes a lot of time to learn these things, but you can do it. I reckon I could probably do it. It's not top of my list. I'd like to learn more music. But jiu-jitsu, I like professional wrestling, and that could be interesting, learning a bit of catch can. What do they do in Kill Bill? They do the tiger Kwando, don't they? But it's really about discipline, these things. It teaches you a lot about the mind and the body. It's not about aggravation and actually being in a fight. It's more of the mindful, conscious virtue which you learn through such a thing as jiu-jitsu or catch can. Not that I have ever done it. Ridinicu Capricorn last. Certainly not leastly. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for your presence. And so, Capricorn, well, you're ruled by Saturn, and Saturn's in Aquarius in your 2nd house. And so this is about structuring and supporting your value. Why? Because you are valuable. You are worthy of doing no less. And this is going through a transformation of who you are. Always, these past few years, past couple of decades of Pluto actually in your 1st house since 2008. And it's still going to be there till 2023, 2024 before it makes ingress into your 2nd house. And so what we're looking at is that this is like a construction site. Our identification is under a construction site. But it doesn't mean we can't make things work for us. I'm a Capricorn sun. This seems to be working for me. And so what we're recognizing is that we're stabilizing our own sense of value. How do sometimes our projections or expectations make us feel depleted? How do sometimes our placing value on things above us make us feel less than. This is interesting. How can actually, when we take responsibility for all of our projects, skills, and talents and bring them into a form which is enabling ourselves to feel more reassured, that we can bank on ourselves and rely on ourselves rather than anything else, how can we do that? Emotionally, the moon rules our 7th house there, Capricorn. And so this is a very interesting way of recognizing that this is a limitation due to the matriarchal emotions which are held within the embodiment of who we are. And so this is a great opportunity to alleviate ourselves and cut free of some of these expectations which come into thought form after they've been synthesized by the feeling. It's about us having the opportunity to reprogram them coherently, like the Joe Dispensers, like the Bruce Liptons, which ain't a victim. He ain't a victim. He's epigenetics, which is epic, which means consciousness above the genealogy. The genealogy is like the cellular membrane. It's the blancmange which we hold in our body. It's the I'm on autopilot. I'm just going to go get this heavy meal. I'm on autopilot. I'm not really thinking. I'm just going to communicate in a reactive way. And so, yet when we breathe into our moments with that, I'm going to choose to do something which is more conscious. I'm not going to react in that way. I'm going to respond with love. I'm going to come into my heart. I'm going to come into the emphasis that is joy and collective, pure clarity, rather than distortion, which is absolute messy behavior. And so this is a great opportunity for us to empower ourselves, to alleviate ourselves, to cut ourselves free from the old matriarchal belief systems which are held into the expectations of others about us, or even from the embodiment of who we are. So thank you for being you there, Capricorn. Very interesting. Full moon in your 2nd house, 29 degrees of Aquarius in a conjunction with Jupiter. Well, Jupiter rules your 12th house as well as your 4th house. And so this is your 3rd house, excuse me. And so this is about communicating. This is about the belief systems, about your communication, your intuitive guidance system, and your connection to the collective as well. It's like your own ability to channel a certain idea and who's best to connect with. Are you synthesizing your opportunity to guide yourself to be with who you feel most guided to be with? Very interesting. Your own identification is really what you're looking to be integral with the activation of. Knight of Wands. But the guide is you. You are the guide. Feeling into your alchemical set. And where we choose to put ourselves, if we listen to it, your value is going to go up. If you put yourself into situations that don't feel good, your value is going to be depleted. And so this is about recognizing that we have the opportunity to choose. Everything is a metaphysical up or a down, a snake or a ladder. And your skill, Capricorn, is that you blindly, unconsciously know these metaphysical snakes and ladders. You know, sometimes beyond your own consciousness, that you navigate this just like very easily. I noticed something earlier which was very amusing, and I was like, wow, that's so metaphysical of me. I'm a Capricorn member. And so I was like, wow, I wanted to do something that was beneficial with the broadening of my own value. And then I breached my own personal boundaries because I recognize it's a seesaw as well. And so if you want to broaden, then you've got to also recognize that that's going to be an imbalance. And so you need to put something on the other end of the scale. And that was actually to balance the scale. I needed to put an imperfection with regards to that situation. I needed to put an imperfection to equal out the quality of that which I was looking to broaden. And I was amazed when I did it. But yeah, we can find that this alchemical set is an emotional thing for us to feel into and recognize. And as we give ourselves the recognition, as well as our devotion to the collective, all of those people that we're navigating around, whether they're family members, colleagues, or whether they're just passers by, it's all a reflection of how we deal with ourselves. And so deal with yourselves with love. You are worthy of no less. Alleviate yourself of limiting belief systems, of going into subservient situations that make you feel conditioned, squeezed, or contorted. You are beyond going into scenarios that make you feel shackled by the mind. Come into your heart, your joy, and feel, because you are your greatest spirit guide. You are the genie. Rub yourself the right way, because you're worthy of no less. Thank you for being you. I'm grateful for each and every single one of you. You can go back and visit any of the signs which I've been reading for. If you want a personal consultation, if you would like to make that investment into your own connection with your own personal natal chart, well, it's my honor to hold that space with you. You can get in contact by the usual means. All the information is in the description box below this video. I'm very happy to connect with you off the back of this full moon. Unveil your genius. You are worthy. I'm excited to connect with you. We can go through each of the transits of the rest of the year into 2022 and beyond, and I'll empower you in a recorded connection that we share together to a timeless experience. I look forward to sharing that space. Thank you for your presence in the live chat. You've been fantastic. You really have. Thank you for sharing it with a friend, anyone who may resonate. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up, and thank you for commenting below the video if you watched in the recording. You're so deeply appreciated. I'm going to catch you on the flip side. Cheerio for now.